Chosen one. You may not know it yet, but something about you has always made you different, quietly, boldly, unmistakably marked. Not by accident, not by the world, but by the divine hand of God Himself. And what if I told you this marking isn't just for survival, but for abundance, for elevation, for millionaire status? Yes, that word might feel too big for where you are right now. Your bank account doesn't agree. Your circumstances don't reflect it. The people around you doubt it. But deep in your spirit, there's a quiet stirring that never dies. It's the voice that keeps telling you, you're meant for more. And the enemy knows that too. That's why life has felt like a battlefield lately. That's why you've been underestimated, overlooked, attacked, and pushed to the edge. Because you've been marked. You've been set apart. You carry a kingdom assignment on your back. And millionaire status isn't just about money. It's about mission, impact, divine provision, and unlocking what's been stored in heavenly places with your name on it. Some of you have wondered why the attacks won't stop, why your progress feels delayed, why every time you take one step forward, you're hit with resistance. It's not random. The enemy saw the calling before you did. He saw your anointing before you had words for it. He saw the glow, the favor, the destiny, and he's been working overtime to convince you that you're ordinary, when in truth, you've always been royalty in disguise. The most dangerous believer is not the one who's already wealthy, but the one who realizes they're meant to be. Because the moment you realize your worth, your identity, your calling, the enemy starts losing his grip. He can't stop what God has planned, so he tries to make you doubt it, delay it, sabotage it with your own unbelief. But not anymore. This message found you because your spirit was ready. Ready to rise. Ready to own the truth that's been buried under fear, poverty mindsets, and generational wounds. You are marked. You are chosen. And yes, you've been handpicked for millionaire status. Not just for your comfort, but to fund missions, break generational curses, build shelters, start businesses, sponsor dreams, and shift atmospheres. The enemy doesn't fear your money. He fears what you'll do with it. He fears the freedom you'll walk in, the people you'll bless, the systems you'll disrupt, the souls you'll reach when you're no longer worrying about bills. That's why the warfare has been so intense. That's why you've battled lack, loss, and betrayal. Because every time you get closer to realizing who you are, the darkness trembles. But you can't afford to play small anymore. This is your wake-up call. This is your confirmation. You didn't imagine those visions. You weren't crazy to dream that big. You didn't mishear God when He whispered abundance into your spirit. You've been marked for more. You've been prepared in the shadows, refined in the fire, and now it's your season of release. But it starts with agreement. Will you agree with what heaven has already written about you? Will you believe even when the evidence isn't there yet? Will you choose faith over fear, expectation over doubt, action over comfort? Because the blessing is real, but it's unlocked by alignment. God is not waiting on the economy to shift. He's waiting on you to shift your perspective. You are not behind. You are right on schedule. Everything you went through, every loss, every delay, every silent season, was preparing your character to match the capacity of the calling. He couldn't give you millionaire status too early, because premature blessings can crush unprepared vessels. But now you're different. Now you understand stewardship. Now you know how to praise even in lack. Now you pray not for selfish gain, but to become a vessel of overflow. Now you've been tested, proven, and humbled. And that makes you dangerous. You are a storm the enemy didn't see coming. And you're about to walk into a level of favor that will confuse your past. People who once ignored you will be shocked at what God does next. And no, it won't be because of your resume, your network, or your degrees. It will be because of your obedience. Because you didn't quit. Because you believed when no one else did. Because you stayed faithful in the drought. And now the rain is coming. I need you to comment right now if this word is hitting your soul. Write, I'm marked for millions, if you feel it. Don't wait till it happens. Declare it now, speak it into the atmosphere, make the enemy mad with your praise. Because God is about to shift things so quickly, your only response will be, "Only God could have done this." You'll look around and wonder how the connections happened, how the doors opened, how the finances flowed in. Favor will follow you because you finally aligned with what heaven already wrote. And the best part? You won't keep it to yourself. You'll bless others. You'll mentor, fund, sow, release, restore. Because you've been marked not just to shine, but to lift others into their light. The mantle on your life is heavy, but so is the anointing. You were never meant to fit in because you were born to build something new, something holy, something unstoppable. You feel that? That stirring in your belly? That's not hype. That's confirmation. This is your time. The kingdom needs you funded. The lost need your light. And you need to stop doubting what God already declared. There's nothing humble about shrinking. There's nothing noble about staying small when heaven marked you for influence. So get ready. Part 2 is coming. And in it, we'll go deeper into how this millionaire status isn't just a prophecy. It's a plan that's already in motion. So let's go even deeper, because this isn't just about a surface-level declaration. It's about unlocking the truth that's been planted inside you from the moment you were born. Some of you listening right now have felt this strange pull your whole life, like you're carrying something inside you that doesn't match what's around you. You've walked through seasons where nothing made sense, but you kept sensing that you were meant for something greater, something massive, something world-shifting. But here's the hidden truth. That tension, that silent battle between who you are and what you see, it was never just in your head. It was a spiritual war. Because when God marks you for millionaire status, He doesn't just put a target on your bank account. He puts a target on your destiny. And the enemy sees that target too. That's why you've faced strange warfare that others don't understand. That's why people left you without reason. That's why you've been the black sheep in the family, the misunderstood one, the one who doesn't fit in normal spaces. That's why your failures felt heavier, your pain felt sharper, and your process seemed longer, because your elevation is higher. Let me say this clearly. God is not just preparing your hands to receive money, He's preparing your spirit to carry responsibility. This isn't about Lamborghinis or luxury. This is about legacy. Because when you're marked, you're not just blessed, you're trusted. And what God trusts, He tests. So if you've been through the fire, understand that it wasn't to break you, it was to refine you. You can't carry millions with a broken identity. You can't steward overflow with a survival mindset. That's why God had to take you through seasons where all you had was Him, where your dreams were mocked, where your ideas were ignored, where you had to sit in silence while others laughed at your faith. Because He was building endurance. He was stripping pride. He was teaching you that wealth doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your soul. Hear me on this. Millionaire status is a spiritual mantle before it's a financial reality. God doesn't release millions into empty vessels. He fills those who are full of purpose, not just ambition. And you're full of purpose, even if you don't feel like it right now. You've been through too much to be ordinary. You've seen too much to stay silent. You've felt too deeply to live shallow. And even though the numbers don't show it yet, even though your reality is still catching up to the vision, you've been marked. And when you're marked, all of hell knows it. That's why there's been warfare in your sleep. That's why your health was attacked, your mind was attacked, your relationships were shaken. Because the enemy wanted to distract you before the deposit came. But he underestimated the anointing on your life. He thought if he could delay you, he could destroy you. But what he didn't know is that delay doesn't mean denial when God is writing the timeline. You're not late, you're loading. And when God loads a chosen one, He does it in silence. He doesn't post your preparation on social media. He hides you in plain sight. Because when the blessing drops, it will be so sudden, so shocking, so supernatural, people will say, "Where did that come from?" And you'll smile and say, from the one who marked me before I was born. Yes, you've cried in private. Yes, you've questioned God. Yes, you've fought the urge to quit. But you didn't. And that's why you're still standing. That's why this message found you. Because you're closer than you think. You may still be in the hallway, but the door is about to open. And not just any door, a destiny door. A door to finances that fund purpose. A door to partnerships that multiply your voice. A door to business strategies you never learned but suddenly understand. A door to favor that cancels years of struggle. But to walk through that door, you need to start acting like who you already are. Talk like it, think like it, move like it, pray like it, not arrogantly, but boldly. Boldness doesn't mean being loud. It means being certain. Certain that God cannot lie. Certain that if He said it, it will happen. Certain that you're not here by mistake. Certain that you're meant to own land, build schools, free your family, sponsor ministries, and walk into rooms not to beg, but to shift the atmosphere. Because when God marks you, He doesn't just bless you, He assigns you. And your assignment is too big to stay broke. It's too big to stay small-minded. It's too big to keep explaining yourself to people who are not called to understand your process. So stop waiting for validation. Stop waiting for signs that make you comfortable. Faith is not always comfortable, it's often terrifying. But if you can walk through the fear, if you can keep sowing when it doesn't make sense, if you can keep showing up when no one claps for you, then suddenly, what took others 10 years will take you 10 weeks. Because grace will accelerate what obedience has prepared. You are about to skip step. You are about to break cycles. You are about to walk into rooms that your bloodline never dreamed of. Not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. Because you're tired of surviving. Because you've said yes, not just with your mouth, but with your life. And God honors that. He honors the ones who praise in pain. He honors the ones who don't manipulate the process. He honors the ones who stay pure in private. That's why you're next. That's why your name is being whispered in rooms right now. That's why ideas are flowing back to back. That's why divine connections are circling you. The shift has already begun. You don't need to force it. You just need to stay ready. Because when God says go, it will be fast. One phone call, one opportunity, one investor, one message, one open door, and everything changes. So don't be discouraged by the slowness. Don't be distracted by comparison. What's coming for you has your name on it, and no one can take it. Not even you. You can't ruin what God ordained, but you can delay it with doubt. So let this part be your fire. Let this be your reminder. You're not chasing millions. You're catching up to what you were always marked for. The enemy knows it. Heaven knows it. And now it's your turn to know it too. Your job is to stay in alignment. Let God be the strategy. You just be the surrendered vessel. And watch, because part 3 is about to pull it all together. And now we've reached this sacred moment where everything begins to make sense. Not just the blessing that's coming, but the why behind every battle, every breakdown, every betrayal that felt like it was meant to crush you. Let your heart breathe for a second, because you need to hear this not with your ears, but with your spirit. God didn't bring you this far just to prove you can survive. He brought you here because you're ready to become. And not just become rich in currency, but rich in character, rich in peace, rich in identity, rich in calling, rich in clarity. You were never just chosen to have. It was always about who you're meant to be. And as you sit here, maybe in a quiet room or maybe with noise around you, something is shifting within you. Something is confirming that what you've always felt but never could explain is true. You've been marked. The fingerprints of heaven are all over your story. Every closed door, every heartbreak, every year of struggle, it wasn't wasted. It was preparation, it was refinement, it was protection. You cried over people who were never meant to go with you. You fought for things that God had to tear from your hands because He was trying to give you something greater. And the moment you finally surrendered, truly surrendered, not in defeat but in trust, that's when everything in the spiritual realm began to move. Because when a chosen one lays it all down, heaven picks it all up. Listen carefully, you're not waiting on the miracle anymore. The miracle is waiting on your full belief. It's hovering over your life like rain held back by clouds that just need the right wind to shift. And now the wind is shifting. You're not empty anymore. You're becoming filled with divine understanding. You're not confused anymore. You're starting to see it was never rejection, it was redirection. It was never punishment, it was positioning. And what's coming next won't even look like a reward. It will look like divine restoration. The years that felt stolen, God is returning them in harvest form. And it won't be small. It will come in waves so rich in favor that people will think it's fake, until they see the fruits. Until they see your peace, your joy, your discipline, your boundaries, your consistency, your grace. Because a millionaire marked by God doesn't just show off, they show up. They show up when it's hard. They show up with kindness. They show up with humility. They show up because their success is not about ego, it's about obedience. And you, right now, are crossing the line between waiting and walking. You're no longer just praying, you're positioning. You're no longer just hoping, you're hearing. Because something inside you has awakened. You've realized this is deeper than money. This is about legacy. This is about what you're building that will outlive you. Your family will speak of this shift. Generations will trace it back to your yes. You will be the one that breaks what others accepted. You will be the one that builds what others couldn't even dream. Because God chose you. And that scares the enemy more than you know. Not because of your talent, not because of your beauty, not because of your connections, but because of your yes. Your surrendered, steady, humble yes. That's the most dangerous thing to darkness. A soul that says yes to light, no matter the cost. And now, the cost is becoming the calling. The very thing that hurt you is healing you. The very thing that almost took you out is turning you into a testimony. So don't be afraid of this next level. Don't shrink because it's new. Don't sabotage the blessing because you're still haunted by past versions of yourself. You're not that person anymore. You're not operating from survival mode anymore. You're not begging anymore. You're building. You're not reacting. You're responding from a place of power. Because you've been trained in private. Your heart has been softened. Your motives have been purified. That's why it's time. That's why doors are opening. That's why favor is finding you. And even though the enemy still roars in the background, even though doubt still whispers from time to time, you are anchored. Because you finally know that this was never about luck. It was never about hustle. It was always about calling. And the called ones, no matter how long it takes, always rise. You are rising now. Quietly. Slowly. Powerfully. You are stepping into rooms your younger self never imagined. You are making decisions from peace, not pressure. You are moving with wisdom that you didn't even study for, because when God marks you, He downloads into you. Strategies are coming. Divine partnerships are coming. Resources are coming. Unexpected favor is coming. And more importantly, stability is coming. You're not just getting rich, you're getting rooted. Your soul is learning how to breathe again. You're no longer driven by the need to prove anything. You've made peace with your past. And now God is crowning you with clarity. You know who you are. You know what you carry. And you're ready, not perfect, but ready. So this is where I leave you, not with hype, not with pressure, but with truth. You are stepping into the season you prayed for. But the greatest gift is not the money, it's the maturity. Not the recognition, it's the revelation. Not the abundance, it's the alignment. You've become the kind of person who can be trusted with the blessing. You've walked through the wilderness. You've fasted, prayed, cried, worshipped, learned, forgiven, let go, surrendered, and now it's time. And when you walk into it, don't forget this moment. Don't forget how it felt to be unseen but chosen. Don't forget how it felt to believe when nothing around you confirmed it. And when the breakthrough comes, give God the glory. Not because it's a religious thing to do, but because you deeply know, that if it wasn't for His grace, His timing, His plan, none of this would have been possible. You've been marked. You've been trusted. You've been prepared. Now walk into it. Millionaire, leader, builder, light bearer. You are everything heaven saw when it looked at you and said, "They're ready. Go." It's your time now.